Hey, Kaz Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Battle of the Belts 3 from August 6, 2022, recorded August 5th in Grand Rapids, Michigan, not too far from my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. So this looks like to be the best, on paper at least, the best Battle of the Belts ever. The first two, especially the first one, were a little bit disappointing on what they put on there with like random FTW title matches and programs that weren't even really set up. These were at least set up at, a little bit, and one of them wasn't really set up, but it looks like a dream match with the main event being Claudio Casanoli defending his newly won ROH World Title for the first time is ever defending it here against Konosuke Takeshita. So that'll be their first ever meeting as well. That match should be epic, and it was. It just finished. What a great main event. We'll get to that. So the AEW Women's title will also looks pretty juicy here with Jamie Hayter taking on Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World title after Jamie Hayter pinned Thunderstorm in tag action. It wasn't against the champion, but apparently that was enough to grant her a title match here, just getting the win. Well, it was against the number one ranked Toni Storm, who basically hadn't gotten the title shot since she was the last one that got a title shot. So that makes sense here. Someone just beat the number one ranked person in it, even if it was a tag match. It makes sense. So Jamie Hayter might be one of the most underrated women on the entire roster. That should make this match fantastic because Thunder Rosa is also, even though she's champion, somewhat underrated herself. So I was thinking they were going to throw down a good match, and they definitely did. So I was hoping they could prove that the women's division definitely deserves some more time. So that's going to be a good one tonight, Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa. So the third and final match that was announced was Jay Lethal fighting for his second title in 2 weeks' time after losing his effort to get the ROH TV title against Samoa Joe at Death Before Dishonor. Now Jay Lethal takes on Wardlow for the TNT title. So the entire AEW community is hoping that this does not lead to a pay-per-view match at All Out between Wardlow and Satnam Singh. It looks like that's what they're heading towards as far as Wardlow and Satnam Singh feuding, but the timing is a little precarious as we're only 3 or 4 weeks away from All Out. That doesn't really nobody in the AEW community really wants that to be a pay-per-view match. So all of that, that match would be fine on Dynamite or Rampage, but that's fine. And that is going to be the match we start with here tonight. So it will be for the TNT title. We see that our commentators are Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone. And then I did watch the Road to show. I wrote down a little bit. This was a good promo from Sonjay Dutt and Jay Lethal. Sonjay Dutt says, Wardlow, I want to applaud you. You've had one hell of a career here in AEW. You've climbed yourself from the bottom all the way to the TNT Championship. But let me tell you something, Wardlow. I feel that your inexperience will be your biggest downfall. You did it. You climbed that mountain, and you got the gold around your waist to prove it. But what's more difficult than that is holding on to the title. Let me remind you of Jay Lethal's accolades. You don't hold a candle to my man, Jay Lethal. So then Jay says, Wardlow, you did start from the bottom, but now it looks like you have too much confidence, and he knows that and he's thinking I'm an easy win. Well, this isn't powerlifting. This isn't going to take place in the gym. This is pro wrestling. I outclass you in every way. I'm a 20-year pro. I have victories over legends and champions. People say, hey, champ, when I walk into the building, even when I'm not carrying a belt, because I keep the name champion. At Battle of the Belts, I will have tunnel vision and take your TNT title. So what a great promo there from Jay Lethal. Wardlow, basically his setup, he's been saying that he wants to bring prestige back to the TNT title because he feels like it used to be defended by the best against the best, and that wasn't happening. So in the meantime, he figured he would do that since Wardlow wants to wait for CM Punk to return before challenging for the world title, because Wardlow, in his mind, we could say it's good reason or not, but in Wardlow's mind, he doesn't want the asterisk of the word interim next to his name, even though, yes, he would just fight the champion when they come back. But I get what Wardlow's saying. People might say, oh, yeah, that period of time where you held the title, and he didn't want his first world title to be like an asterisk type deal. To me, that makes sense. And then going after the bringing prestige back to the TNT title, well, that's pretty cool too, because that's what we need. So that's exactly why people don't want Satnam Singh versus Wardlow at the pay-per-view. Sure, that sounds like an attractive match for like, oh, check out Rampage. It's going to be a TNT title match, Satnam Singh, Wardlow. Look at the beef on them. And you could make it the main event of a Rampage, or even put it on Dynamite. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But I don't think that's a pay-per-view worthy match. I think Wardlow should have a nice, not really, like, he needs more competitive matches other than just destroying people left and right. So like someone like a Brian Cage that could give him a 10-minute barn burner match or something like that. So, or this new Mance Warner guy that we saw on Rampage last night. So anyway, Wardlow um, has now aligned himself with Best Friends after Orange Cassidy took Wardlow to the limit in their TNT title match. So Wardlow came to Best Friends' aid to counteract the 7-foot giant Satnam Singh that was bothering them alongside Jay and Sonjay. So Jay Lethal worked himself up the rankings slowly in his career here in AEW, and Jay Lethal's loss to Samoa Joe at Death Before Dishonor did not count toward his AEW records, as ROH records are separate. So Jay beat Orange on Dynamite this week, and then after he worked over Orange Cassidy's knee the entire match. However, if you did see on Rampage, Danhausen used magic to heal Orange Cassidy's knee, and Orange Cassidy will be ready to go in the trios tournament with alongside Trent and Chuck as the Best Friends. So Jay Lethal comes out first here, looking confident as ever. He's got Sonjay, Dutt, and Satnam Singh with him, of course. Wardlow then storms his way down to the ring, focused as ever. The crowd's chanting his name, and Wardlow comes into this match with a 55-8 record. So Wardlow definitely has to be the favorite in this match, despite the true things that Jay Lethal said about outclassing him in pro wrestling. Jay does have the massive experience advantage here, but he might not even have the quickness and agility advantage against the freak athlete Wardlow, who obviously has the size and strength advantage. So Sonjay distracts right away. Wardlow gets distracted at the beginning, and this gets Jay Lethal to attack from behind. Wardlow just shakes the attack off and hits some big slams already, then clotheslines Jay Lethal right out of the ring. Wardlow stares down Sonjay and Satnam while they go outside, and then we see that Satnam's staring down Wardlow now. Satnam's about a foot taller. Wardlow's a big guy, but he's not necessarily that tall. And then Satnam Singh's like 7'4", so it's just like a foot taller. It's ridiculous. So then Jay, which is again not a good reason for to have them at a pay-per-view. You don't really want Wardlow to look small per se. It would be good to have him slay a big giant, but I don't know if it's a good look or not. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, Jay takes advantage of this distraction from Satnam, hits a big kick and a few attacks, but Wardlow counters and hits a nice tilt-a-whirl slam. Jay uses back elbows to block the next attack, hitting 2 drop kicks, but Wardlow doesn't go down. Jay does. So Jay seems to have tweaked his knee or something, but that's just a surprise. Wardlow with a quick pin here, getting a 2 count, almost getting the title there with a surprise. That's kind of what Jay was talking about with the using the tricks of the trade, being a veteran. So right after that, Jay Lethal throws Wardlow's shoulder first into the ring post, dives out right onto the ring. So there's that craftiness that Lethal was talking about, outclassing him in professional wrestling, being a 21-year vet. So Wardlow's knee now gets hit multiple times into the ring post as we go to a picture-in-picture ad break. And back in the ring, Jay's hitting stomps and a bunch of knee attacks, basically a repeat of what we saw on Dynamite against Orange Cassidy. So it worked then, and it should work now, especially against the larger man. Always good to take out them from the base. So Jay hits a ton of knee attacks here as we come back from break. Wardlow's able to block a figure 4 attempt, then gets up with some great agility looking into the power bomb attempt, but Jay Lethal's able to fight it off. Wardlow then catches a lethal injection easily. Jay then blocks the power bomb for a second time. Wardlow tries a third one, but now Wardlow's knee buckles from that knee attacks earlier. Jay then gets down, but Wardlow hits a nasty punch to the face of Jay Lethal, followed by a huge lariat. So Jay's definitely dazed after those shots. Wardlow looks for the power bomb, and this time he hits it since Jay was too dazed. Wardlow just makes the cover, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3. Wow. So the winner of this match by pinfall, and still TNT champion Wardlow. Only one power bomb to beat Jay Lethal here, even with his weakened knee. We've got Super Wardlow here, just able to shake off all those knee attacks with no problem. One power bomb and it's over. I'm not a big fan of that. I had to sit through the whole John Cena era, and this is a little Super Cena to me, just shaking off all those knee attacks. If that was we're gonna get from Wardlow for the rest of his career, then don't sign me up. I'm not gonna be a Wardlow fan. So this match wasn't really I didn't really like it that much. Sure, he buckled with his knee a little bit on that third attempt, but then he just hits the power bomb right after. It only takes one power bomb to win. Sure, he hit a couple big attacks earlier on, but I feel like Jay Lethal, I guess it's not a video game and they can do whatever they want. But in the video game, Jay Lethal would have been able to kick out of the one power bomb. He would have had a fire in his heart left. Jay Lethal's a champion. He talked a big game in his promo, and now you make Jay Lethal look like a chump as he's saying all these things like, when I walk into the building, they say, "Hey, champ," because I keep the title of champion. And then he just can't even kick out. Doesn't have the heart. One power bomb. I get Wardlow's a big guy, much bigger than Jay Lethal, but to me, it was a little too much to believe. It was a little too Super Cena, in my opinion. And it's just, if that's it's a one-time thing. If Wardlow goes on from here and isn't quite Super Cena going forward, that's fine. But if that's all we're gonna get out of his career, that's gonna be trash. So anyway, right after the match, Sonjay and Satnam attack Wardlow, and I was thinking, well, this is exactly why Wardlow befriended the best friends, because he does need allies in this world, and Wardlow made a lot of enemies while he was with the inner circle. So the best friends never show up. I understand that Orange might still have a knee injury or whatever, but where was Trent? Where was Chuck? I thought Wardlow and them had an alliance here. So Wardlow saved them, but they don't save him. Anyway, Wardlow Super Cena's his way out, but if thankfully isn't able to take away all three men. Right as he's about the power bomb Satnam Singh, Sonjay Dutt attacks from behind, and now it's back to a 3-on-1. Jay Lethal sets up a table, and Satnam Singh, I think, choke slams Wardlow right through the table. So where the heck were the best friends? Where was Chucky T and Trent Beretta with a chainsaw? Like, that was the whole point, I think, in Wardlow saving them. So he had one coming in return. So anyway, yeah, everyone knew this was just a way to get Jay out of the rankings that he's been in for so long. Jay getting a title shot here. But the whole story, everyone knew the whole story coming into this match was that they wanted to set up the Satnam Singh Wardlow feud. Again, I must add that Wardlow is a foot tall, or a foot shorter than Satnam, and it might be a good image if Wardlow's able to lift him up and hit the power bomb. But while Satnam Singh's like beating him up during the match, and if it's a pay-per-view match, it might have some length to it. Maybe it'll only be a couple-minute match. So, but hopefully it's just a Rampage main event or something. Satnam Singh versus Wardlow, and then maybe Wardlow can have someone better to fight at the pay-per-view. I really don't want that to be the pay-per-view match, but we'll just have to wait and see. We have about 4 weeks before that happens. Now let's get into the second title match. I mean, that was an okay match, but like I said, the Super Cena Wardlow at the end, that's not for me, brother. So now after the break, Jamie Hayter comes down with her awesome music, and she's ready for a big title match here, accompanied by Britt Baker and Rebel. Thunder Rosa also comes out with some backup, accompanied by Toni Storm. And before the bell can even ring, before Rosa's even done with her introductions, Jamie Hayter attacks Rosa from behind. So the bell rings now. Britt now already takes a cheap shot from the outside of the ring with the referee distracted. And Jamie definitely has the strength advantage and shows it already, hitting a nice snap suplex. So this is definitely going to be a tough test for Thunder Rosa, who at least has Toni Storm out here to watch over Britt and Rebel. But yeah, like I said, the strength advantage definitely goes to Jamie Hayter. Jamie now wears the champ down with some strikes and a big shoulder tackle. Rosa fights back, hitting 2 drop kicks of her own. This makes Jamie Hayter run out of the ring, and then she counters Rosa's dive with a nasty looking forearm in midair. That was cool looking. So Jamie then throws Rosa into the barricade. Rosa fires up off of that, hitting some chops and a big DDT. Big key moment here that you want to remember for later on. This is one of the first big spikes that Jamie's head is going to go to the outside of the mat. Keep that in mind. So Jamie's a little bit dazed after that. Britt Baker notices that and distracts Rosa again. No help from Thunder Rosa yet. From Toni Storm. So Jamie then knocks Rosa off the rope. Rosa's knee gets caught on the rope, doing some major damage to the knee here. So Jamie now hits a Uranagi slam into the steel steps, and Rosa's in big trouble as we go to a picture-in-picture ad break. So Toni Storm has been no help so far. Britt Baker has basically done anything she's wanted to out there. And back in the ring now, Rosa still has a little bit fight left in her, hitting some chops, but Jamie's able to keep control here, hitting another suplex. Jamie's stamina is going to be tested in this match, and Jamie Hayter's stamina could decide if she's going to be champion or not tonight, all depending on how good her stamina is. So Rebel and Britt now take more cheap shots as the referee's being distracted by Jamie. Storm gets over there eventually, but again, she has done nothing to help um, uh Thunder Rosa so far. So Storm then brought, if Storm had brawled with Rebel and Britt here, I'm sure the referee would have just ejected everybody, but maybe Toni Storm doesn't want to risk being the only one thrown out, leaving Thunder Rosa out here alone. So when we return from the break now, Rosa and Jamie are hitting some big forearms back and forth. Both looked a little bit dazed and confused here. Rosa then hits a nice looking Thunder Lights or Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. Rosa then hits a nasty drop kick, one of those like Saray does, through the ropes on the seated opponent against the ropes. That looked nasty. Right to Jamie's face, another hard shot to her face. Rosa then hits a seated senton off the apron on the Jamie on the outside. And this, again, for the second time in the match, Jamie Hayter's head hits hard on the mat outside. Keep that in mind, like I keep saying. So outside the ring now, for the second time in that match, she's nailed her head. Rosa hits a crossbody off the top rope back in the ring for a 2 count. Jamie had fight left in her, counters Rosa and hits an Irish Curse backbreaker. Now Jamie hits a nasty brain buster, and Rosa's just barely able to kick out. Almost a new champion with that brain buster. So Rosa's dazed now. Jamie's more fired up and confident, hitting big strikes, and then Britt takes another cheap shot from the outside. Toni Storm finally decides to attack Britt Baker, not risking, or just like it's time to stop just watching it. She had to act here, and Britt just simply kicks Toni right in the face, but then Toni comes back with a twisting DDT off the stairs that takes Britt Baker out. Rosa then hits a huge roll-up pin that spikes Jamie Hayter's head hard into the mat. And remember those hard shots earlier, the referee counts 1, 2, 3, and the winner of this match by pinfall, and still AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. So that was definitely a slobber knocker. I figured it would be, but they told a great story here in the ring as well. Storm waited for the perfect time to attack Britt. She didn't want to risk getting kicked out by herself, you know what I mean, early in the match. So Jamie also had a great match here, like I figured she would. One of the most underrated people on the roster. Definitely Jamie Hayter went out there, showed what she was capable of. But yeah, after Jamie had hit her head hard on the outside of the ring twice, that nasty spike on the roll-up pin was definitely enough to daze Jamie just long enough for a 3 count. It only takes 3 seconds for you to lose the match, and that daze, after all the other big shots she took to the head, was enough to put her down. So great stuff here, great story. Thunder Rosa keeps delivering every single match she has. And then her promo on the Road 2 show was great as well. I had wrote it down word for word, but I accidentally deleted it right before the show started. But definitely check that out if you want to hear Thunder Rosa's great promo, really passionate promo before this match on the Road 2 show on the YouTube page. So hopefully Rosa gets some more stories going forward. It seems as though that it's only a matter of time before Thunderstorm breaks up, and that might even be soon. So either woman could turn heel coming out of that. I mean, I guess neither could, or even both. Who knows? But I would think that we're starting to get some stories. I've heard rumblings that people want to see Thunder Rosa as a heel. I'm not quite sure I would agree with that, but it could. I do agree that Thunder Rosa has had a lack of stories overall, like cool different things going on. So no matter what, there is going to be some kind of story going on because Thunderstorm is going to break up, and I wonder if Toni Storm is still going to be the number 1 ranked woman coming when the rankings come out on Wednesday after getting pinned by Jamie Hayter, but then Hayter losing in this title match already. So we might have a new number 1. It might be Britt Baker. We might be getting that match again in a rematch. I'm not quite sure what we'll get. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on in the women's division. I'll try to put the fact that Madison Rayne, of all people, has now become the coach of the women's division. Hopefully she doesn't have much power over what happens, and hopefully she can at the very least get them some more time and some more shows. What I really want is them for that have their own show. Basically, the women's division lives on Dark, but you don't ever get, on Elevation and Dark, but you don't ever get stories on Elevation and Dark. I watch all those matches. I see the progression that these women are having, and they usually throw down some good matches. There was like a 15-minute banger between Emi Sakura and Toni Storm a few weeks ago on Elevation, and then all of a sudden someone like a Madison Rayne comes in and gets a match on Rampage, and now a title shot on Dynamite. Emi Sakura has been here the whole time, 960 days since Emi Sakura has been on Dynamite, and she's never appeared on Rampage, but yet she's always on Elevation, throwing down bangers when they need her to, and she's an amazing coach of the division already. So I don't know, unless she's turned down the offer to do the women's division, I don't know why that happened. But let's get to this main event now. A really, really good main event on paper, and it even exceeded what everyone had high. You know how hard it is to live up to something when you have high expectations on there. Oh, what's up, Hassan? I just saw your message. Hope you're doing all right. But yeah, it's hard to live up when people think that the match is going to be good, to actually not only be good, but over deliver. And that's what happened here. So we have a little bit of time here. I think we still had 20 minutes in the show when this match started. And this will be Claudio Casanoli, the former Cesaro, first title defense of his first ever major world title win. So he just got 2 weeks ago against Jonathan Grisham at Death Before Dishonor. And Claudio should be fresh into this match, but almost too fresh. In my opinion, this is a dangerous match for Claudio, because Claudio has not had very many matches over the last 4 months. Meanwhile, Konosuke Takeshita, the challenger tonight, has been tearing it up all over the country over the last 4 months and is one of the hottest wrestlers on form in the world currently. So this is going to be a tricky match for Claudio. Konosuke Takeshita comes out first, with Caprice Coleman also joining commentary now. Takeshita definitely looks focused for his first major world title shot here. So Claudio Casanoli then comes out with Wheeler Yuta and William Regal. Regal goes over the commentary, and Yuta just leaves to go backstage. So this match is going to be great. There should be no funny business, just a straight up match, and it should be great. So Claudio charges right as the bell rings, looking for a diving European uppercut, but Takeshita is able to evade this. This was like some of the best parts of the entire match. I couldn't even take all the notes, but they counter, looking for big moves. I look for a big move, then you look for a big move. They counter each of them until nobody gets hit with the move after about 8 counters in a row, and that's how we started this match. Great start to the match, great flurry. So Claudio now wants to slow it down and do some grappling, some amateur style here. Claudio gets wrist control. Takeshita tries to get out, but Claudio shows some great grappling superiority here. One thing that Claudio hasn't been doing is having a lot of matches, but what he has been doing is training with William Regal and catch-can style wrestling. So he definitely showing that off here. He might not have had a lot of matches, but has been training hard. Claudio now tries to pin the shoulders to the mat using different grappling techniques. Takeshita fights back now, but Claudio never ever once loses wrist control and hits a beautiful monkey flip as Takeshita tried to run out of the move. Takeshita then takes Claudio down with an ankle pick, but Claudio again shows some grappling superiority, getting to his feet, countering. Claudio then blocks a hip toss, but Takeshita hits the hip toss on his second attempt. So they tie back up now. Takeshita gets a headlock applied, but Claudio gets that wrist control again and easily gets out to apply a headlock of his own on Takeshita now. Great technical match so far and great display. Claudio's definitely dominated. So Takeshita tries to get out, but Claudio counters with a belly to back suplex. Now the pace quickens to Takeshita's liking, and he hits Claudio in the face with a drop kick once they start running around. Claudio evades a spring dive to the outside right after that and hits Takeshita's back hard into the apron. Now Claudio back in the ring has a giant target that he sees on that back, hitting a few attacks to that as we go to a picture-in-picture ad break. Claudio hits a backbreaker and a few uppercuts for a 2 count, then ties up Takeshita's legs for a modified Regal stretch or something along those lines, but attacking the shoulder instead of the neck. Claudio transitions that into a chin lock clutch, working over the back even more here. Takeshita is able to get to his feet and block Claudio's suplex attempt, and then they block each other back and forth here. This was great, looking for vertical suplex back and forth. They even both leap into the air at the same time, blocking a suplex at the same time, but eventually Takeshita hits the vertical suplex, and this hurts Takeshita's back as well because his back has been worked over. Claudio stays in control by getting up after that hurting back with a mafia kick right to the face. Claudio applies another hold now, bending Takeshita's back against his knee, but Takeshita tries to fight out of this. Claudio transitions it into something else, and now we're back from the ad break. Takeshita fights that off too, and Claudio hits some more strikes to take control, but Takeshita counters a charging Claudio with a back elbow, then hits a Hurricane Rana and a nasty this is the Takeshita line. It's a nasty running flipping lariat, just like the Undertaker always used to do, except even better than the Undertaker. So Claudio again is able to get up first after this because Takeshita hurt his back on his own offensive move. Claudio then gets sent out of the ring and crushed with a Tope Con Hero. Takeshita hitting that dive perfectly on the outside. Claudio then counters back in the ring, that stops a top rope move with an uppercut, and then hits a gut wrench superplex off the top rope, a gut wrench suplex for a 2 count. Claudio now signals for the giant swing, and Takeshita does get caught in the swing, but Takeshita gets up and battles back with a haluva kick and a blue thunder bomb right after that. Takeshita's momentum's now starting to turn his way again, but Claudio is able to hit big strikes, keeping control, something he's been doing all match whenever Takeshita starts to build momentum. So Takeshita now gets caught on the top rope again, fights it off this time, whatever Claudio wanted to do, and hits Claudio nastily with a turnbuckle DDT, sending him face first into the turnbuckle into a frog splash by Takeshita off the top rope. Claudio's just barely able to kick out of this at 2. So Claudio then catches a knee strike that was about to hit his face, but Takeshita blocks an uppercut right after that, looking for a pin. Claudio counters this and hits a nasty spike, uh, a nasty like counter for the Takeshita line, just spiking. That was amazing. So I don't even know how to describe it, but he countered another Takeshita line here. Claudio then puts the crossface on, but Takeshita counters this into a pin that forces Claudio to break the hold. Claudio now paintbrushes the head of Takeshita with his boot, trying to start a big strong style uppercut party here, but both men hit massive moves in a row that keep popping up right after. This was like lariat after big move after lariat, ending with a Takeshita jumbo lariat. Both men are down now and starting for another striking battle right after that. Takeshita then counters a pop-up uppercut attempt with a pin for a 2 count. Takeshita then hits his running knee strike that he was looking for earlier right into a second brain buster here, but Claudio has the fire in his heart to kick out at 2 and keep his and keep his title safe for now. So Takeshita signals for the end now and lines Claudio up perfectly for a rolling elbow strike. That was nasty. So Takeshita now he's looking for some kind of power bomb or something, but his back was too hurt to lift up Claudio. Claudio takes advantage with a diving uppercut, then a standing stomp. Takeshita counters the Ricola bomb here with a Hurricane Rana into a pin like Rey Mysterio does for a 2 count. Almost a new champion there again. So Claudio catches Takeshita mid-air in one of the best moves of this nasty match. Takeshita tries another one of those jumping knee strikes. Claudio catches him mid-air and deadlifts him up for a nasty Death Valley driver, landing Takeshita hard on his face. And Takeshita still kicks out at 2. Both had the fire in their hearts for this title. So that was nasty and incredible. Claudio hits a springboard uppercut now, then some hammer and anvil elbow strikes. Then the Ricola bomb connects for the 1, 2, 3. The winner of this match by pinfall and still Ring of Honor world champion Claudio Casanoli. So wow, everyone knew this was going to be a great match, but yet it's still over delivered on the high expectations that were set upon it. Everything was pretty much perfect, and I think it was just about as good as the classic we saw last night in New Japan G1 Climax between Will Ospreay and Shingo Takagi. So this was just as good in my opinion. Having both of these matches back to back in the same 24-hour span, they're both very similar to each other in my opinion, and definitely something you might want to watch them back to back. Both are about the same amount of length, about 20 minutes long, and both are just show you exactly that you don't need to go 40 minutes to have a classic match. You can have a classic match in 20 minutes, 18 minutes, and be high paced and still tell a story and have a lot of selling and drama and who's going to win. And, oh, he's hitting the move, but now his knee collapses. And like, oh, when we saw in this one, Takeshita was about to maybe win, but his back gave way. So great stuff overall. This definitely made up for the weird way that Wardlow just super seen it out the win earlier. This just made up for everything that happened in AEW this week that might have possibly been wrong, and shows yet again why AEW is great. It opens the forbidden door constantly. I mean, I know that both of these guys are under contract, but it's just cool to have like Takeshita on excursion from DDT. Like if Claudio was in WWE, there's highly no chance that these two would have crossed paths. So maybe now we never know. The Triple H era might eventually open the forbidden door to WWE as well, and then it'll be truly one just big world of wrestling. But as we are, everything except WWE under the sun can appear and will appear on AEW. We've seen just in the last month on Dark matches from what was it, like Over the Top Wrestling in Ireland, Rev Pro from England, Tokyo Joshi Pro, a women's promotion in Japan. So just in the last month on Dark, we've seen 3 different promotions from 3 different countries, and this is just another example, having Takeshita here on excursion from DDT, fighting a guy that was released by WWE, signed by AEW, and it's just one big happy wrestling world where we get amazing matches like this on a weekly basis. No matter where you turn. So one thing that was announced tonight is that FTR will be back, and they'll have something to do on Dynamite. Maybe we'll find out if they're fighting Swerve and Our Glory for the tag titles at All Out, or maybe something else. We're not quite sure. So we'll just have to wait and see. Should be a good Dynamite. We've already got a lot of things set up, including the main event of the return of the Lionheart, Chris Jericho, against another wrestler who's one of the hottest in the world right now on form, Jon Moxley. So we're just getting to see all these people who are super hot on form. The only really, like, other than the guys like well, I guess we've even seen Okada and stuff, and Tanahashi recently in AEW as well. So it's just so many guys that the only one I'm really feel like we're missing non WWE is Speedball Mike Bailey. So if we can get Speedball Mike Bailey in for a match at any point, that would be great. So he's the only person really that we haven't seen in AEW this year who's not WWE contracted. I know there's like, I'm gonna be missing some, maybe from someone that's tearing up in Noah and stuff like that. But we have seen some of the New Japan people come over. We have seen ROH come back with some of their people, like a Jonathan Grisham and stuff like that. So it's just great to have this whole Forbidden Door, one big world of wrestling, and who knows how crazy it's going to get in the future with Triple H in charge at WWE. Everything might open, but in the meantime, it looks like that probably won't happen, and it's going to be a huge battle to sign free agents. Now, I would assume Tony Khan, after last night's a great match in Rampage, Mance Warner would probably get signing a contract either with AEW or ROH with Tony Khan. And the reason for that is I think everybody's going to be snapping up any of the few available left free agents, because there's even people that were debuting yesterday, Mance Warner and Karrion Kross, for the respective shows. Both of them were about to sign. I watch MLW, and for weeks they've been showing that Mance Warner and Karrion Kross are debuting soon. MLW has exclusive contracts. They don't have a Forbidden Door deal where they don't allow people to go over to AEW or WWE once you sign a contract. So seemingly it looks like both companies are wanting to sign free agents as quickly as possible. So that means we might see more and more people in AEW in the coming weeks, just to get them off the free agent market so that WWE wouldn't buy them. In the meantime, we're still trying to build maybe a ROH roster at some point. I know there's they've been trying to get a spot maybe in a streaming service, although they were waiting, and it just happened. The Discovery Plus and HBO Max merged. Now that with the merger that there was between Warner Brothers, Time Warner Media, and Discovery. So all of that has now merged just in the last week, and now there might be a nice platform for them to have a weekly ROH show, maybe a weekly television show about women where they can have stories and stuff like that. And it's would be different than Elevation and Dark, where yes, I watch every single one of those Dark and Elevation matches, but I want them to have stories as well. So maybe we'll get a streaming service announcement in the next month or so, maybe at All Out, maybe during that whole week. We'll get something announced along those lines, because I'm pretty sure they were waiting for the Discovery HBO Max merger, which just happened. So they're in the process of merging those two streaming services. I assume that those are going to be the top ones to bid for having like Dynamite. You'd be able to watch the old pay-per-views, just like you do with WWE on WWE Network or Peacock, depending where you live. So I'm going to get going. This was a really good Battle of the Belts, by far the best one. Great match. One of the matches of the week, Claudio versus Takeshita, and really good stuff. So AEW will do it again at Quake by the Lake on Wednesday. It's going to be another great show, and we don't know what to expect. We might see CM Punk. We might see Kenny Omega. Maybe neither show up, but it should still be great. We've got a lot of storylines going on, a lot of new stars like Ricky Starks ready to break out. We've got a lot of stars in the background ready to break out yet again, like a Hangman Page. We don't know where that's going to go, but we saw the Young Bucks get turned on by Adam Cole and the Red Dragon. So definitely some stuff's going to come out of that. And we're also probably finally going to, I thought we would this last week, but we'll probably find out who is entered into the trios tournament. That's going to be crowning a new champion for the trios in the finals. Will be at All Out, which is only a month away. So that's also something I'm really looking forward to. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys again real soon. You can catch all the G1 reviews. I go live soon as the G1 in New Japan ends. So you can find all kind of reviews on this channel. So give me a thumbs up and a subscribe so we can let other people know all these reviews are here. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good weekend. Peace.